Oh,
Now we're
you
live.
multitasking, lady.
We wasn't live. We live now.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I'm like, where my buddy at for this evening?
How
So
are you?
hi, Jessica. I am so well. I am so well. Eager to have our show this afternoon or this evening and just talk about a few things. I have a friend here also. He might want to add some commentary and we'll see. But yeah, but for right now, this is our finale show. So I want to make sure before even get started that we're actually on because I don't see us on the actual page. I'm looking for it now. I don't see anything on here.
It's on the campaign page. You could just share it to your regular page. I'm looking now. I don't understand why. Um, I got two pages, so I'm trying to get to you. But anyways, I'm doing that now. Sharing it to your personal page. It's already on the campaigns page, but
Awesome.
I'm sharing it to your personal page.
You
And I
rock, Jessica.
see.
You rock. Okay, so for anyone who has joined us, listen, thank you guys for joining in
Yes.
tonight. As always, we're just here to make sure that your concerns get heard. But we're gonna have a special show tonight, of course, because it is the finale of a 6-week program that we have made sure. Okay, yeah, I'm working on this now. That we've made sure that we have given the community the opportunity to have a platform where they could share their voices and share their concerns about issues that impact their community. So with that being said, again, I'm Sheila Montague, West Ward District Leader here in the city of Newark for the 49th District. And you guys are looking at my beautiful co-host, Jessica. And and we're just gonna, like I said, as always, just make sure that we have an open forum for you guys. But because we are aware of certain concerns that have recently had a huge impact on our community, we're definitely going to be addressing and talking about some of those for you guys to weigh in on as well. So with that being said, and talking about some of those for you guys to weigh in on as well. So with that being said, and talking about some of those. Okay, so we're ready to begin. I just wanted to make sure that everything was good, and it looks like it is. This is great. Okay, so again, feel free to chime in with absolutely any comments, questions, or concerns that you have. Plug them into the comment section. We will see them and address them, and that is what it is. And I'm gonna give it to Jessica, and Jessica can take it from here.
How you all are doing? We're just excited. This is the final episode for Voice Your Concerns. It does not mean that it is the end of Miss Sheila's introduction and making a change with changing the lens. So we're just here. We really wanted to hear from you guys in this series. We really wanted to take your concerns, your ideas, your opinions very serious in this series and in general. But this was the opportunity. Ms. Sheila has so many ideas in mind and what she wants to do, taking literally the concerns of the community to the next level, networking with more people, hearing the concerns. And so even though the series is finished, this is the final episode, but this is not the last you will see of Ms. Sheila
Absolutely.
Montague.
And I just want to say, Jessica, you are the community as well. So let's just start from you and we'll move forward from there. What is some concerns, or at least a concern that you have that you would like to discuss tonight? Maybe it will encourage somebody else to want to,
Listen, I saw this article. That article really bothered me, because one thing that's really, and I'm not sure if this is political, straightforward, but one thing that bothered me about the community is, the molestation and the rape in the community. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of children go silent. These things happen to them, they go silent, and then they act out in other ways. And literally, they are emotionally abused, physically abused. And I saw the article about the ex-sergeant who just was placed with charges of basically insulting four children. And my thing was this: they have it from like 7-10 years ago. Like, these incidents been happened, and some was current, some was old. I also read, as I looked into the article, that he was basically like a community leader. Like, he worked inside the recreation center or the basketball team or something like that, or football. Like, he was really, really close to the kids.
Right.
And the parents couldn't see the attack, but they confiscated videos of sexual acts with the kids and all these things. And I was just thinking, like, we have to be more engaged with the families, far as, family activity, having family night, doing things as a family,
Absolutely.
um, being more concerned about what's on our children's heart. Um,
Right.
and I mean, I know, like I said, that's not technically a political thing, but I know that it can definitely help, have an effect on the rates and the crimes in the community, because kids feel like they are living within themselves as introverts, and they can't voice, the abuse that they go through. So I think, if more programs was made that where parents can be big kid parents with the kids, it's more of a
Yeah.
bond.
That's
I work as I'm finishing up, I worked at mental disabled residential homes, and literally they were still within the community have like the police officer basketball games against the kids. And
right.
it was fun, or the mommy and daddy, or whatever type of games. I think those things really come into handy, because you have a chance to bond, you have a chance to actually spend time with mom and dad outside of work, outside of being busy. And I think if those type of things were implemented more, even like the fashion shows, like the IYO, the fashion shows me and my sister used to go to, and our mom used to be there.
Right.
Those type of events or programs would be very helpful in the community. And I think that it would present an opportunity for kids to open up with their parents about these difficult situations, or to eliminate the kids being out there roaming the streets on their own.
Right. And just to add to that, and that was great stuff, Jessica. It's not you know I have to watch what I say because I want to be politically correct as possible. Uh, I think it's important not only that we have people from the community that are actually sponsoring and giving those types of events, but I think that we need the right kind of people doing those events. People who, and when I say the right kind of people are like, well, what do you mean, right? So I want to be clear about what I mean. People who, again, have a certain moral and ethic standard about themselves. It doesn't matter who you believe in, right? It could be Jesus, it could be Allah, it could be whoever, but there must be a belief system in place in your life, in your house, that you live by, that pretty much is the foundation for the fact that you want to be a good person, because kids watch, they're like sponges and they absorb. So when we have activities, if you will, in our community, no matter what that is, I think it's really important that we show up as adults. I think it's really important that we show up with a level of discipline, that and that we understand that everything shouldn't be displayed in front of children. And I'm not convinced that we're doing that in mass. So that's something that I want our community to consider, right? And that that we just move forward in that vein, because right now, and especially last night, has me thinking about that, because there were so many shootings, Jessica. There was like at least 8 shootings last night, in the hours leading up to this show. There were more shootings and more shootings just transpiring all over the community. And the thing is, people will say, on social media, I don't know why so many people are, so many kids are acting like this. It's senseless crime, it's senseless violence. But where is it coming from? What are children seeing that they're maybe misconstruing to think that this is okay to behave like this? That when you have a conflict, it gets resolved in this way. So again, I'm always talking about conflict resolution. You know, I'm always talking about ways that we could get along and enhance our social behaviors. But also, you know, we have this post-COVID. I don't even want to say post-COVID. I'm saying post-COVID from the standpoint because it's not over, but from the standpoint that we're no longer trapped in our homes. But that has happened for a long time. So there was some trauma there. And so we got young people back out for the first time. So between that, between social media beefs with our young people, again, just not always making the best decision when we're trying to solve conflict, is very challenging. So we want people who are going to be role models for our children to display, like I said, those traits of disciplining themselves, disciplining what they do, the things that they say. When you have a problem with somebody, to just be mindful for how you handle your problem, at that children are watching, and they're gonna, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna copy what they see. They're gonna copy what they see, and if they're not gonna know what restraint looks like unless it's taught to them, right, and showcased to them. So with just that being said, there was a lot of gun fire. There was yet last night, tonight. They're talking about it across the nation. Jessica, I don't know if you could weigh in a little bit on the gentleman who was killed in Memphis. Did you know him? I know my son knew him. What was his name? Young
Dolphin or something like that. Dolph. So I
Dog.
heard somebody, but I haven't been listening to the rap music. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he was a rapper. I heard somebody say this earlier. I don't know who he is,
Yeah.
and so, but it's listen. I'm being reminded of Philly, how they shoot in Philly as a constant rate. And somebody said to me they went out there one time, they smelled the air and it smelled like gunpowder. And I was like, wow, like for real, it's a thing. And it's all over territory. I don't know what this guy was
Wow.
involved in, but I know, you know, a lot of the shootings be involved over territory, you know, and we talk about how, you know, I'm not saying he's a drug dealer. I ain't saying that. What I'm saying is a lot of the shootings within the community usually are over territory or arguments. And the territory that we are questioning of is usually over, you know, the areas where, you know, they take charge, you know, in their local businesses. And so with that being said, um I really think that they have an entrepreneur mindset. And so when it comes to them selling their local businesses, you know, because I mean, I'm not down in any, listen, I'm not down in anybody. Look, I don't judge. I'm just saying what's right is right, wrong is wrong. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is this is what leads when you take that type of route. It just leads to more violence or someone's
I,
parent, you know.
and that's why it's so important that we get our school systems on track where they need to be, because our kids need to have more choices. They need to have more opportunities, and I feel like sometimes I'm being redundant in saying that, but
Mhm.
we just had a parent teacher report card night. And once again, parents are not coming out like they should. They're not picking up these report cards. They're not being participatory as I feel that they could or should be. And if we're not doing that, right, we're really missing a great opportunity, you know, to steer our kids in a different direction, because kids don't just do what we say. They look at us and do what we do.
Mhm.
We're not showing them that education is important, then they're going to easily get distracted into other arenas where they shouldn't be. So this is always a concern for me, and it should be a concern for our community. But honestly, I want to just dig a little bit deeper into this, how people will post, you know, the shootings, and it's almost like entertainment. People post the shootings, you don't hear the people's names. You don't tend to feel a sincere caring about what's going on. You know, I haven't seen a press conference where these situations, this is traumatizing. And I don't know if for anybody else, but for me, because many of these shootings are actually occurring, in the vicinity where I live. And it's like, where is the commentary? What's going on? So on top of everything else, right? So we have now another added layer of anxiety because the community is like, should I go to the store? Oh my God, a shooting just happened close to ShopRite. I shouldn't go there. Oh, maybe I'll just stand out. People don't know what to do. They don't know what's going on. So we don't even rank high enough on a scale. And this off the hills of Black Lives Mattering, right? Do we matter enough for a press conference to be prioritized and given to soothe us? No, there's no soothing on top of a community that needs healing already before the situations that we're dealing with now. So again, I just always feel that we need a lot of things. So what are those things? I watched a video last night as a lot of things was unrolling. So these are a couple of things that I noticed. The lights turned down low in Newark. I came home yesterday evening and it was dark. And I said to my neighbor, like, wow, look how dark the streets are. I said, if it wasn't for our porch lights, you wouldn't even be able to see in front of you almost. That's not good. So that's one thing that's missing. There was some concerns being mentioned on social media as it related to the ambulance. So we had one EMT that was actually functional during all of these shootings last evening. And then from what I'm hearing, and that has not been confirmed, I'm being just honest about that. They called in people from other places. But then I know that they definitely called in people from other places as related to the police officers. Even that, there was a power outage at the police station. And it was like, okay, right before the shootings, the streets are monumentally dark. And now we're talking about having a power outage at the crimes unit. So there's something here that is not, like adding up. And the deficiencies are just adding to the struggles that we're dealing with. So on top of that, there weren't enough police to man the situation. We again had police come from different arenas. We even had the county police to come to help with the situation. And again, in a country where we struggle to have candidates make our unique needs a priority in their debates or in their platforms, and we want to say, hey, Black Lives Matter, we're not able to do that because they're not prioritizing our needs. They're not. They're briefly, you know, going across the surface with something about employment, something about education, something about what we need, but not the true things that they know that we need. And so in us trying to share what it is that we need, we're actually I feel like almost defeating ourselves because we're now, instead of focusing on the positive, we're focusing on too much negative. Like you said earlier about the young lady that was unfortunately missing for near a month. Thank God she was found. And again, shout out to all of those activists that were involved and were so positive. And that they even, it's like that even became an ugly, scenario. But the bright part about it was that little girl is not in the streets of New York anymore. And she has a second chance, at having a great life. So those are the things that I think are important. But we have so many kids that are missing, so many kids that are shooting. And it's like, where is the end? Where do we get, again, it goes back to reparations. It goes back to making our people whole. And this is my opinion. Everybody else was made whole. Everybody, some people are still getting reparations to this day. And it's just not the case with us. So even when you have young boys coming out of a failed school system where they're not reading and writing on level, like you can't judge it. And you said this earlier. How do you judge it? How? This is what's there for them to do. This is what's there for all of us to do when we come out of school. And that's not fair. It's something that, and again, these are unique situations that we are dealing with as a people. Case in point right now, for all the shootings that happened today and yesterday, those shootings were not happening in the Portuguese section of Newark. They were not happening in the Hispanic section of Newark. They were not happening where we have our white brothers and sisters and counterparts here in the city of Newark. No, these things were happening to us. So there's an extra layer of healing that needs to happen with us, an extra layer of we need laws that protect us. We need Medicare. So many people still are not covered by insurance that will cover them if they wanted to go and see a therapist. But more than anything, I think we just need love. I think we just need love, and that's why I said I decided to go a different route. And instead of continuing with the community bringing the concerns, because the community doesn't even feel comfortable bringing the concerns, from what I heard. And so I live here, you live here, we know what those concerns are. So we're going to redirect our show to just automatically address those concerns. And I think one of the topics that we're going to be talking about next week is like how people identify themselves, right? How they identify themselves. And that could get really deep, right? And so we have several topics that can and will get really deep. But the goal is to have people see, adopt what they will, leave what they may, and take what they can to just make, a better quality of lives for ourselves overall in the city, But what's going on right now can't continue. I'm still getting reports of shootings as I'm speaking to you. And I think it's appalling that on the heels of these shootings also that our elected officials are in Atlantic City partying. And yeah, for it's what do you call it, League of Municipalities that determined this week, and that's where they are. And again, it just smacks of we just need somebody to care. And I think that that's part of my campaign, a very small part of it. But there needs to be systems that are running better than what they are. And right now, that's not where we are with our systems. I noticed that the streets all of a sudden started getting paved, which I think is great, because for years our streets weren't paved. And but then I saw things start to crack, and I'm like, wait, they just did that. And sure enough, when I looked into it, they're not supposed to be paved when at night the temperature is below 50 degrees. And then we're also anticipating snow pretty soon. So these are things that probably should have been done in the summer, but now because it's an election time, it's like, okay, now we want to. That's not how things are done. And again, we have to just get into the common practice of doing things as they need to be done because they need to be done at the time when they need to be done. And that's what I just really want to say, that all things work together. I know that seems like kinda, in different areas, but all things work together. Everything is interconnected. What our kids see, you think that the blight that they see every time they walk out of their house, that they're not impacted on that, you
Yeah.
know? So those are just a few things, those are just a few things. I have a lot of solutions that I think will be significantly effective, right? But there has to just be so much change, and it starts with us changing the lens, because many of us don't think, if somebody tells you that you're worthless for so long, it's very possible that people start to feel like that. And they take whatever's given to them and they say, hey, well, this was given to me and we're worth so much more. And that's where the change has to start, right? With just identifying who we are, right? And what we're worthy of and what we demand from, within our personal lives as well as our political lives, because we want clean streets. We want public safety. We want to go outside. Like, it's a park. I like to exercise at night. I want to go to the park at night. And we don't get to do that here, right? And there's just so many things that could be opened up for us to do if we just only stood up and, just claimed our power, the power that we have collectively. because just one person popping up here and there all the time, that's not really the thing that's going to really make a strong impact. It helps, but the strong impact happens when we come together as a whole, we move as a whole, and in order to do that, we have to identify what are some commonalities, what are some common ground. And I'm going to tell you, Jessica, I don't know how you feel about that, but that is where I see the problem come in it. We have so many different thoughts and ideas about how things should be done that it's so challenging to just find one thing that we can say, you know what, this right here, we're going to take this and run with it. This right here, everybody's on page with this. And I'm telling you, something as basic as kids need to respect adults. You'd be surprised. Everybody does not agree. Huge debate. Lots of people. I'll put it to the test for years. A lot of people will tell you, well, no, my child don't have to respect all adults because all adults ain't always right. This is the response I hear. All adults ain't always right. Teachers lied on me when I was in school. No, my child don't have to listen to nobody but me. And that breaks up the village. Because see, when we see people about to shoot or something about to happen that people could have got involved and kind of maybe made a different outcome, people say they're not doing that anymore. And I think it's something that that was beneficial that we can try. I don't know what you think about that, but you can comment on any of those hundred of things I just said. Like I said, just a lot of feelings about what's going on, so many things that I could do that I'd like to implement. And
I think that is definitely a great deal. I mean, even with the parents participating in, parent teacher night, teaching their kids, manners. I mean, like, listen, they say it takes a community to raise a child. And so you have to, you have to enforce the rules I literally was writing about this earlier. Without rules, there's no structure. And so everything is in discord and mayhem. And then we wonder why we got kids out here running with guns. You know what I'm saying? And then earlier when you were saying about the shootings, what some people think is their safe haven?
What?
Let me get my gun in order to walk to the store. Oh, so they got a gun, you got a gun, he got a gun, she got a gun, and that's gonna solve the problem? That's not how it works. You cannot solve a problem with a problem. You have to solve a problem with a solution.
And the nation is aware. But one thing, when I woke up this morning, I was shocked that I actually saw this on Channel 2 news being reported. I saw it on Channel 7 news being reported. And I didn't even mention the robbery that took place today on top of all of this. They robbed Wendy's over on Chancellor Avenue for $5,000. So what we're dealing with is bedlam, right? Yeah, what we're dealing with right now is bedlam, and like I said, and we're not dealing with it. We're not. We're posting about it. We're traumatized by it and don't realize it. And before you can get over the effect of one shooting, there was a post that said, I think 4 kids were shot. Was it 4? 5 kids were shot. And what was it? 2 kids, what? I think it's 5 kids were shot and 2 kids something else. But just stop right there. I'm sorry. Was it 5 kids hit by a car? What was it? It was shooting, kids shooting.
It was 4 kids got hit by a car today.
4 kids got hit by a car. Yeah, 4 kids got hit by. But yeah, but you get the point that I'm making. And in that emergency room, like I said, there weren't enough EMTs, so an EMT was literally having to leave a body, bring a body to the hospital, go back to get the body. And
COVID has really taken its course on the earth. Like, seriously, it's because of COVID people don't want to work. They don't want to get the vaccine. It's because of COVID they giving these stimulus checks, and then when they run out, now people want to go out here and go rob instead of going to get a job because they got to be forced to take the vaccine anyway.
It's definitely a possibility for sure. And like I said, I don't realize how our youth got here. You know what I mean? I don't realize how they got here, but I know that this is a one-way street, a dead-end road, and we gotta change the path. We gotta do that, and I think that's gonna start with the police, right? We don't want to have negative relationships with the police. That's one thing that I want to make sure that I do as a mayor, to just make sure that there's a good collaboration between leadership and policing, so that when we move together, we can have the most optimal public safety that there is. And another thing is not allowing criminology to reign supreme. There has to be a point that we put our foot down and say, you know what, this is unacceptable. I don't care whose cousin, whose brother. Listen, we're going to do this. This is plan A. This is plan B. This is plan C. And if the plan A is counseling, or if the plan B is getting the church involved more, or whatever these plans are, we cannot afford to have more children matriculating out of a school system that is already not doing what they need to do, and just falling into this endless cycle of just senseless violence. So there's some things that we're going to have to do, as a community. There's some things that we're going to just have to do, you know just as a people, period. And those things, of course, start with loving each other more,
Honor.
you know
Honor.
finding solutions. The solution is not, I'm gonna go kill somebody, because
Mm-mm.
it's not the solution.
Yeah, I think the honor, when the honor is restored in the homes, it's
Mm.
because literally a person makes a mistake or have a flaw. You're still supposed to honor your brother and sister. You're still supposed to love them. The Bible tells us this. You know what I mean? If you do that, then more problems could be reconciled. If you do that, then I won't make it my business to retaliate, because at least you still show respect to me.
But
You know
it's
what I'm saying? It heals.
right. But you're right. And I'm gonna add this. There's a certain. I'm gonna give you a perfect example, and I know you could talk to this, Jessica. It's the show BMF that comes on. 50 Cent created this, and it's the story of Big Meech, and it's the same situation that plays out in this show. Great family, Bible beliefs, Christian, mom and dad in the household. They just didn't have the money that they needed. And like I said, this always comes back to money and reparations, because they didn't have the money to pay the bills, or even to really eat properly. With the dad working nonstop, what ended up happening was they almost lost their house to foreclosure again. Something else that we're dealing with in our communities a lot. New Jersey has the highest level of foreclosures, and Big Meat started selling drugs. He was selling drugs, and he became able to pay to keep that house from going into foreclosure, to keep them from getting homeless, which is another ever growing situation that we have in our community. So the point that I'm making is that because we're living in times of economic deprivation, right? We're just deprived from what we can do. I can't take these kids out and take them to different places and grow them through experiences without financing and resources to get that done. And we have to have leadership, right? We have to have representation, that when funds do become available, we prioritize that, because we understand that our children are our future.
Mhm.
And unless we're understanding that, and we're operating on just the most basic humanistic, fundamental operation, I don't see that we're going to have a difference, because there's always going to be drugs sold. I just think that there's just so much that we could do different from what's going on right now. Do you want to add something to this? Okay. Do you want me to put you on this? I don't. You know what we're gonna do, because it's 8:30. Jessica, I don't know if you want to come on. We're gonna close this out, because I think that this was good, and we're gonna come on to the Facebook Live. If you could join me on there, you probably will be able to join me too, and we're gonna get more viewage, because like right now I know a lot of people that would be viewing on my end are not. So we're gonna start this, so we'll end this on a live. So let's do that. And just Jessica, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
You're
And
welcome.
we're gonna continue to have our beautiful hosts right with us on future shows. And Jessica, if you want to say anything before we go on to our next mode of media.
We just thank you all for joining us tonight. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. This is definitely the beginning of something that is definitely a movement. And so we thank you for watching and join us.
Awesome.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.